Today I'm taking you inside the headquarters of Selkirk, one of the biggest brands in pickleball, to see how they research, develop, and build the paddles that you see on courts across the country. You'll find out what's happening behind the scenes and where they're headed next.
I made a couple friends last night. Woke up to see the sun staring in my face. I won't go back to bed this time. I've been dreaming about a night.
I would never have imagined this. Like I didn't know what to expect. This is really cool.
It's pretty boring.
Yeah, good. This comes off of this. Isaac, where's Isaac?
No, you're good. All the time. Not the first time, won't be the last. First time.
You've been smoking. We want to put $100 on the game, $5 extra for body bags, ATPs, and Ernie's.
There was something we needed to get out of the way first.
Okay. Here you go. Yeah, here's the, so that's 92.
No!
So here's the 50 cents.
But I didn't really grasp how much you guys have going on. It is really cool, really impressive what you guys have built in a really short time.
Do we get like special, like cool designs? Like put like Chris's face on here?
No. And then I know Michael. Yeah, I know Michael. Do you want to take it? Michael could answer that better, but
Michael's the best I could do.
I want to race. I want to race her.
I can't even. Michael!
Hey everyone, Braden here with Pickleball Effect. Earlier this month, I was invited to visit Selkirk's HQ in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Naturally, I was interested to see what they have going on. I knew that they were one of the biggest brands in pickleball, but I was still shocked at the scale of their operations and sophisticated R&D program. Going into this trip, I saw Selkirk as a brand that had drifted toward mass appeal and wasn't a leader in paddle innovation anymore like they used to be. But after what I saw, that perception changed, so let me show you why. We started the tour in Selkirk's shipping and receiving center, and it was just massive. Picture something the size of Costco stacked floor to ceiling with stock. This really drove home just how much product they're moving and how far their reach extends in pickleball. Tucked in the back of that warehouse is their prototype lab, and this is where things get really interesting. It's fully equipped to build just about any paddle concept in-house. Cold press, thermoformed, edgeless, foam. If you can think it up, they can build it right there. Every time they get a new idea, they don't have to wait, they can prototype it and test it immediately. As part of the tour, they even let us make our own paddles, which was a lot of fun.
This is so we need 4 just to make sure that. I need like a blade.
John, what are you doing?
Peel pie.
He's the only one that actually knows what's going on. You got the high density? Yeah, that's a mistake.
We'll see.
Next, we stepped into Selkirk's testing and research lab, and this place was just stacked. They've got more testing equipment than both major paddle regulation bodies combined, and I'm not even kidding. They have 3 different ball cannons, each with a specific role. One is used to test PB core and ensure paddles meet equipment standards. Another is for performance testing. And the third is all about testing durability. And that's just the start. So they also have a CT scanner to examine the paddle core and surface grit after they've done some stress testing, plus tools that measure things like abrasion, coefficient of friction, deflection, and even debonding. All of this gear supercharges their R&D process, letting them test prototypes in real time, spot weaknesses fast, and fine-tune performance before anything hits production. It also gives them this growing log of objective data that they can learn how different paddle configurations interact and perform. This felt like the big leagues to me. It was clear that they weren't just guessing or relying solely on player feedback. They're running a legitimate R&D program grounded in data, built for innovation, and designed to push paddle designs forward. With all this equipment and data at their fingertips though, I had to ask them, how does this actually influence the final paddle that a player buys? Here's what they said.
There's the objective, data-driven approach, right? And then there's the subjective, like qualitative approach. So like the lab is primarily helps solve a lot of the objective problems. Like, hey, like is this paddle objectively different from this paddle in what way? Is this material objectively more durable? Things like that, right? So there's a lot of different functions for the lab, but one of them is quality, right? Like, hey, we're making this product, we want to make sure it holds up, it's durable. We want to, and process quality, manufacturing quality means like we want to make sure that the parts we're making are consistent and there's not some drift over time. And then also, we can leverage those instruments for just pure R&D. Like, hey, we're going to test something and see if that worked.
We're trying to build a flywheel effect, right? So we're building all these tools and ways to quantify the product so that we're able to get quick feedback when we test the product on our equipment and through users, be able to take that feedback, iterate, improve, and quickly do that cycle extremely fast. Whereas before, there's just been lag because you're either waiting for a lab to give you feedback or you're waiting on a partner to basically get that component to you and change it. And we're able to do all that in-house now.
What I appreciated in their response was the balance that they struck, using lab data to guide decisions, but still validating everything through real-world play testing. It's not just about the numbers, it's about how the paddle feels and plays on the court as well. Still, with all this R&D firepower, I had to ask them the obvious. If you got all this tech and testing capability, why have you been so slow to adopt new and popular tech? And why does your current lineup seem behind the curve in performance? Here's what they said.
This conversation started happening about April last year, right? So about a year ago, when basically Gen 3s that performed due to braking, right? So I think the paradigm of what was considered a performance paddle / power paddle has dramatically changed to what it was 2 years ago, right?
A performance paddle was one that was essentially broken and hyper powerful.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, it was like, yeah, we're never going to have a performance paddle if that's a standard. It has to be hyper
And what's
powerful.
interesting, the brands that went that approach are now backtracking and saying, we screwed up, we're fixing the problem. For us, we had that shift happen really quickly, and we were kind of watching it and then challenging it with the governing bodies of, like, this will destroy the sport. Like, we need to have bounds in place, right? Which everyone's been working towards. We're not going to put a product out that breaks to perform. We even went through this with the boomstick, right? I think people saw the boomstick on the tour for a little bit, and it was a great performance paddle for a short period of time. But the problem was we couldn't get the structure to perform how we wanted from a durability standpoint. And that's basically what we've been fixing, and we did fix it, actually. Yes, we've been behind in that category, but because we weren't willing to build something that break to perform. If that makes sense.
Also, at the same time, hopefully we're going to be inventing new technology, and we won't be slow to adopt, driving it forward.
Yeah. It's clear they haven't just been sitting on their coattails. They've been intentional about how they bring paddles to market. Durability is a big focus for them. And now, with all the right tools finally in place, the R&D flywheel is spinning, and their future may be different from what we've seen from them in the past. After wrapping up the testing lab tour, we headed over to their manufacturing building. This is where they apply their new Infinigrit texture on certain models. They do all that in-house. And they also handle US assembly for their premium paddles right here. It was fun to see this process up close. By this time it was evening, and we made our way to another Selkirk facility, one that houses 3 courts. There we had dinner and spent time playtesting a range of prototypes and experienced firsthand what the future of Selkirk's paddles could be. I'm under NDA about the details of these prototypes, but I think that I can say that they are different and fill a gap in the current paddle market. Later that night, me and Aaron, the editor, challenged Selkirk co-owners Rob and Mike Barnes at a match for $100. I haven't been this nervous for a game in a minute, and it ended up being really close and a ton of fun. Of course, we filmed it, and we'll be publishing that later, so be on the lookout for that. You won't want to miss it.
Here you go. Yeah, here's the...
That was the end of the day, and here's how my perception changed. So I went into this trip thinking that Selkirk was behind the curve, more focused on mainstream appeal than on pushing paddle tech forward. But after seeing their R&D setup and getting a firsthand look at what's coming next, my perspective shifted. It's clear that they've been intentional with their decisions, willing to be seen as behind the curve while they stuck to their standards and quietly built an R&D system more advanced than anything I've seen in the industry. Now that system is fully up and running and they have the team, tools, and know-how to put it to work, if they're not the brand to beat in the next year or so, I'll be very surprised. I was also genuinely impressed with the Barnes brothers. They came across as humble, thoughtful guys who clearly care about the sport, and they know how to have fun, which I always appreciate. So that's my full rundown of my visit to Selkirk's headquarters. I'm excited to see what they roll out next, and you can bet I'll be following close.
Got him on a string, Braden.